John Mahaffey's life became lonely and full of struggles when he hit a rough patch. Not only was he going through a period of low earnings, but just when things couldn't get any worse, his marriage fell apart. The divorce made everything 100 times harder, leaving him feeling horrible. Mahaffey went through his fair share of struggles, both in his career and in his personal life. There were times when his game just wasn't working. He even described it as being a wreck. On top of that, he had periods where he wasn't earning much, which only made things more stressful. But the challenges weren't just on the golf course. Around the same time, his marriage ended in divorce, making an already difficult period in his life even tougher. It was one of those stretches where nothing seemed to be going his way, and it took a toll on him. But setbacks don't last forever, and he kept pushing forward. Over time, he worked through the struggles and found his way back. One of the biggest moments of his comeback came when he was trailing Tom Watson by 7 strokes. At that point, it didn't look like he had much of a chance, but he stayed focused and steadily made up ground. The competition grew more intense as he closed the gap, turning what seemed like a one-sided match into a much closer battle. In the end, Mahaffey pulled off the win, making for a memorable moment in his career. It wasn't just about coming out on top. It was about overcoming challenges and sticking with it, even when things weren't going well. His victory was one that people talked about not because of any major controversy, but because it was the kind of unexpected turnaround that makes sports interesting. That win wasn't the only amazing moment. Over his career, he kept proving just how gifted he really was. His journey in professional golf began in 1971 when he turned pro, stepping into the highly competitive world of the PGA Tour. Like many young golfers, he had dreams of winning big tournaments and making a name for himself among the sport's best players. But the road to success in golf is never easy, and Mahaffey had his share of close calls, setbacks, and challenges before eventually reaching the peak of his career. One of the first major moments where he nearly broke through came in 1975 at the U.S. Open, held at Medina Country Club in Illinois. He played well throughout the tournament and found himself in a position to win, something every golfer dreams of when they step onto the course. However, golf can be unpredictable, and winning at the highest level often comes down to just a few shots here and there. That year, he made it all the way to a playoff against Lou Graham, meaning they had to play extra holes to determine the champion. Unfortunately for Mahaffey, things didn't go his way in the playoff, and Graham ended up taking the title. It was a tough loss, but he didn't dwell on it for long. He knew he'd have more chances in the future. And sure enough, just a year later, in 1976, he found himself in another great position at the U.S. Open, this time at the Atlanta Athletic Club in Georgia. After 54 holes, he was leading the tournament by 2 strokes. At that point, he was just one good round away from finally claiming a major championship. But golf, as always, had other plans. On the final day, Mahaffey struggled a bit, shooting a 73. While it wasn't a disastrous round, it wasn't enough to hold on to the lead, and he ended up finishing tied for 4th place. It was another near miss, another lesson in how tough winning at the highest level can be. But Mahaffey wasn't the type to give up. He kept grinding, kept improving his game, and most importantly, kept believing that his time would come. And in 1978, it finally did. That year, he entered the PGA Championship at Oakmont Country Club in Pennsylvania, ready to compete against some of the best golfers in the world. But early on, things didn't look great for him. At one point in the final round, he was trailing Tom Watson, a multiple-time major champion and one of the biggest stars in the game, by a daunting 7 strokes with just 14 holes left to play. Most people would have assumed the tournament was all but over, that there was no way anyone could catch Watson at that point. But Mahaffey wasn't ready to give up. He stayed focused, played steady golf, and slowly but surely started making up ground. Shot by shot, hole by hole, he inched closer to Watson, turning what seemed like an easy win for Watson into a tight battle. By the time they reached the end of the round, Mahaffey had done the unthinkable. He had fought his way back into contention, forcing a 3-player playoff with Watson and Jerry Pate. Playoffs in golf are always intense, and this one was no different. On the first playoff hole, all 3 players made par, meaning they had to continue on to a second playoff hole to determine the champion. This was where Mahaffey finally had his moment. Pat found trouble, missing the green, while Watson had a long 30-foot birdie putt that he couldn't quite make. That left Mahaffey with a 12-foot putt for the win. He took his time, lined it up, and calmly sank the putt to win the PGA Championship. Just like that, he had gone from a player who had come close but never quite won a major to a PGA champion. And the way he did it, coming from 7 strokes behind with just 14 holes to play, made it one of the greatest comebacks in PGA history. But his success in 1978 didn't stop there. Later that year, he went on to win the World Cup, both in the individual category and in the team event. He was paired with Andy North, and together they brought home the title. The following year, in 1979, he got another honor. He was selected to play on the U.S. Ryder Cup team. The Ryder Cup is one of the most prestigious events in golf, where the best players from the United States compete against the best from Europe in a team format. It's a completely different atmosphere from regular tournaments, with a lot of national pride on the line and intense competition. Being chosen to represent the U.S. was a testament to just how well he had been playing. As the years went on, he continued to compete. Though, like all golfers, he eventually started slowing down from his peak form. But even as his playing days wound down, he found a new way to stay involved in the game he loved, by becoming a golf announcer. He joined the Golf Channel as a broadcaster, using his experience and insight to help fans understand the game better. His knowledge of the sport, combined with his easygoing personality, made him a great fit for television. He was able to share stories, break down key moments, and bring a player's perspective to the broadcast, helping to make golf coverage more engaging for viewers. Through it all, his career was one filled with perseverance, learning from setbacks and never giving up. He had his fair share of disappointments, but he also had incredible moments of triumph. From nearly winning back-to-back U.S. Opens to pulling off one of the best comebacks in PGA history, he showed that hard work and resilience can pay off in big ways. And even after his competitive playing days were over, he found new ways to stay connected to the game, continuing to share his love for golf with fans around the world. His story is a great example of what it takes to succeed, not just in sports, but in any area of life. Things don't always go the way you want them to. There are setbacks, tough breaks, and moments when you feel like giving up. But if you keep pushing forward, stay patient, and believe in yourself, you never know when your breakthrough moment might come. For him, that moment came on the 12th hole at Oakmont in 1978, when he was 7 strokes behind and could have easily given up. Instead, he kept playing his game, stayed focused, and ended up making history. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.